Hey everyone, welcome to Geekdom Forecast, and today we are going to be reviewing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Well, it feels great and fun again to watch a Marvel movie in a movie theater after I think 3 long years. The last one I watched in a movie hall was Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the second movie in the phase 4 of the MCU, and it's a back to basics origins flick. And Marvel is so neck deep in its roster of superheroes that even the most obscure characters are getting their own solo films. Back then, I always knew Shang-Chi as a supporting character. I remember reading about him in Daredevil and the Marvel Knights, and him teaching Spider-Man the way of the spider, the fighting form. And lastly, I also remember this one time where Wolverine approached Shang-Chi for help so that he can fend off Sabretooth. So he kind of had like that supporting role kind of vibe going on. So his first solo flick, and I'm super excited to review this one.
And here we go.
Also, the filmmakers behind this movie, they're pretty stacked as well. We have director Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Just Mercy and Short Term 12, both great movies. And for cinematography, we have Bill Pope. And now Bill Pope is like a go-to person when it comes to blockbuster movies. I mean, he was behind the Spider-Man trilogy, the Matrix trilogy, and also the amazing Baby Driver. And for the editing department, we have Nat Sanders and Harry Yon, who did the editing for Moonlight and Minari respectively. And both these flicks, they got Oscar nominations.
Throughout my life, the Ten Rings gave our family power.
Talking about what worked in this movie, this is a straight up dysfunctional family drama. The fantastic Tony Leung plays Wenwu. Now, this character is a far cry from the Mandarin that we see in the comic books. The director has stated that this is a complete 180 from the comic book character. So the one which we are seeing here, playing by this fantastic actor, is a more varied character. He was basically a conqueror once he becomes the wielder of the Ten Rings. And he creates his own empire, he's conquering worlds. We don't really know about what the Ten Rings, the power of the Ten Rings are, where they come from, so that's still a little ambiguous. He went to a place called Talo to discover some hidden power. He fell in love with a woman there, had a family, and then he gives up the rings. And then suddenly, like your typical tragic hero, tragedy strikes and his wife is dead. And then what happens is that he gets back to his old ways, and that's when the crux of the movie starts. A lot of themes in this movie is about destiny versus choice and generational duties. So what does that mean? When Wenwu's wife died, he basically trained the elder son to become a top-notch assassin. So gone is the innocence and everything, and comes this complicated and complex relationship with his father. His sister is also there, and he's still a young kid, and he's trying to process the death of his mother, and he saw the death of his mother, whereas the father was just hell-bent on revenge, that he didn't exactly cater to his children's needs. He wasn't able to provide the emotional support. The only way he could provide support was how he grew up, that is basically through war. So he starts training this young child of his, and then he's being sent on his first mission to kill someone, and that's when young Shang-Chi does not return, and in fact he flees. So as you can see, at the heart of it, it's a family drama. This is something which will be there throughout the movie. We also see what is Shang-Chi's destiny, what he wants to do versus what he's supposed to do. So overall, this little drama that was there, it's sprinkled throughout the movie, and it's done pretty well.
You walked in my shadow.
The fight choreography in this movie, badass. Completely blew my mind. I mean, the last good action action hand-to-hand combat we got in the MCU was Winter Soldier, and this is Winter Soldier level, and in some parts it exceeds that. In fact, while watching this movie, the fight sequences, I was immediately taken back to movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the early Jackie Chan movies. It's beautifully done. There is style and nuance to the choreography. There's a lot of power. At the same time, it feels nice to watch, almost therapeutic to watch the action sequences, especially the bus scene, which reminded me of Speed. Also, there's another fight scene in a building and they're just jumping from one end to the other, and it was done so beautifully. Once again, it's a brilliant mix of nuance to choreography, and yeah, we have one of the most memorable action sequences in the MCU. The fight scene in Talo is almost sensual, and also most of these fight scenes are backed up by awesome and amazing soundtrack. If there was one thing about this movie which I would want to watch again, are these fight sequences. In fact, throughout the movie I was wanting more such fight sequences, but ultimately we did get those, signature CGI third act, but we'll get to that soon.
How did you find me? I always know where my children are.
The cast is also something which worked. Overly charismatic cast. Simu Liu as Shang-Chi is amazing. Awkwafina as Katie, absolutely hilarious. She has amazing comic timing, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a cliche to have someone witty or someone funny throughout an MCU movie. Whatever she was given, she did a great job. But of course, the absolute show stealer here is Tony Leung playing Wenwu. And I'm absolutely sorry if I butchered your name. Now let's talk about what could have been better in this movie. Now, why I'm saying this and not what did not work, because I feel that this movie had the potential to be one of the absolute best, but it gets really bogged down by certain things. The final act, yes, a marked improvement from the likes of Black Widow, but here's the thing, throughout this movie you have already established visceral, well choreographed fight scenes, so why not just continue with that and just take the story forward instead of just giving us another CGI green screen kind of thing. I get it that it needs to be done, the final act needs to be like really strong. I think it would have been great if we could have followed what the movie had originally set out to do, and that is having badass, amazing action sequences. I wish the movie explored more about the lore of the 10 rings instead of just talking about them in the early scenes. Maybe a little bit more about Wenwu and how he acquired the 10 rings. I wish there was more material for Tony Leung so that he can establish Wenwu perfectly. I think the character could have been a lot stronger, and I felt that the exact potential of what this character could be was not met.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Shang.
I would really want Marvel to do is to take more chances. You are already neck deep within your superhero roster. You're taking out a movie on Shang-Chi. So why not just go all out in this one? I wish there was more family drama involved. That could have worked very well, but instead we again got your typical MCU movie which had the potential to be a solid origin flick. And another thing which I did not like was that it got bogged down by your standard Marvel practices, and that is teasing for the next movies and future build-ups, and of course your ever-present Marvel humor, which now that's something which will always be there. No matter how much you complain, it's going to be there, so we have to live with it. And yes, the comedy everywhere, almost after every 30 or 40 seconds there a character is cracking some joke. There has to be comedy element present. I wish some of these aspects could have been subtracted so that we could get the new stuff in. That would have worked even better. Shang-Chi is the first superhero movie with an all-Asian cast, and it worked really well. Although I don't think so it'll have the cultural impact of, let's say, Black Panther, but at the same time, it feels good that someone from Asian descent is finally going to be an Avenger. I wish the movie had continued its grounded roots like when it started off. It could have been an amazing family drama with a lot of fantastical elements brought in. That could have worked. Marvel should have taken more chances, but at the same time, it also talks about destiny and choosing what you want to do. And of course, like already mentioned, generational duties of the father wanting to bestow his legacy onto his son. We got amazing action sequences and pretty dope soundtrack and music. And for these reasons, I'm giving this movie a solid 7.5 out of 10. Alright guys, that's it for today. If you do like what we are doing, give us a like, do share and subscribe to our channel. This is Ren signing off.